Yeah, hi. A very good evening to all of you who have joined, and a good evening to the management also. It's a pretty busy evening. There are more than 150 results, more than 20 con calls. So I appreciate the time everyone has taken out for this one. Arman has reported all-time high profits. Probably it looks like demonetization is firmly behind. So, without wasting any further time, I'll hand it over to Alok and Jayendra Bhai Patel for opening remarks, after which we can do a question and answer session. So over to you, Alok and Jayendra Bhai.
Thank you, Digant. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for joining the con call for the third quarter of FY18 results. After the last 3 odd quarters of muted performance, thanks to the lingering effects of demonetization, we were quite pleased with the 3-month results announced last Friday. Overall, our hard work is starting to pay off, and I can say with relief that the worst is behind us, and the new challenge is to continue our growth trend in the most conservative way possible and break into new markets. That said, let's spend the next 1 hour trying to answer your questions regarding the overall state of affairs of the company and the industry as a whole. Starting with the profit and loss account, consolidated income from operations for the 3 months ended was 22.5 crores, that is about 22.5 crores, compared to 14.3 crores the same quarter the previous year, a 57% growth. Additionally, income from operations in the second quarter of fiscal 2018 was 17.7 crores. Therefore, there is a 27% increase from the previous quarter of the same year. Profit after taxes, or PAT, for the 3 months ended is 3.14 crores compared to 1.72 crores the same period last year, an increase 83% increase year-on-year basis. I am pleased to report that there is the first time we have crossed 3 crores in PAT in any quarter. So this is the record quarterly profit for Arman. Also, for the first time we have crossed a ROE, return on equity, of 22% in any quarter on an annualized basis. For the 9 months ended, consolidated disbursement have reached 389 crores, of which 282 crore is in microfinance, 71 crore in two-wheeler, and 36 crore in our newly formed MSME division. In comparison, disbursement total 140 crore for the same 9 months ended the previous year. Let me repeat that. We have reached 389 crore disbursement in this 9 months as compared to 140 crore in previous 9 months. That is almost 180% growth. Assets under management totaled 362 crores at the end of December, of which about 240 crores was in microfinance, 89 crores in two-wheeler, and 34 crores in MSME. Post-demonetization, we ended last year at an AUM of 192 crores. In 9 months, we have shown an 89% growth in assets under management, that is AUM. I would like to stress that this growth is not a departure from our usual conservative nature. All of our conservative policies remain intact, including ticket sizes, rural lending, static centers, etc. We had spent the better part of a year to develop our infrastructure and branch network to be in a position to expand rapidly. Additionally, post-demonetization, there was a sort of competition vacuum in certain areas which we were well positioned to capture. Going forward, we have almost finalized our fiscal 2019 business plan, and we will be on track to touch 1,000 crores sometimes in FY 2020 with a diversified product mix and a geographical spread. Portfolio quality remains excellent post-demonetization. In our microfinance division, repayment rate of the post-demonetization disbursement is almost 99.7% across India. Net NPA in microfinance has gone below 1%, which is at 0.87%. The net NPA levels in the two-wheeler portfolio remains almost consistent at 2.45 crores. We thankfully do not have any NPAs at the moment in our MSME division. On my part, ladies and gentlemen, the future is looking bright, and FY18-19 will be the great year going forward. With your blessings and good wishes, I am sure we will continue to strive towards greater heights. I thank you all for accompanying us in this journey and supporting us during the hard days post-demonetization. We hope for your continued support. Thank you, and I would like to open the call for questions.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now begin the question and answer session. Anyone wishing to ask a question may please press star and 1 on your touchtone telephone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may press star and 2. Participants are requested to use handsets while asking a question. Ladies and gentlemen, we will wait for a moment while the question queue assembles. Participants, in order to ask a question, you may please press star and 1. A reminder to the participants, anyone wishing to ask a question may please press star and 1. We'll take the first question from the line of Rohan Mandora from Equirus Securities. Please go ahead.
Good evening, sir. Thanks for the opportunity. Sir, I would like to understand what is the borrowing mix as on date, and how do we plan to raise the fund incremental borrowings?
Right. So we were making great headway post pre-demonetization of converting most of our reliance from financial institutions to, banks. Now, post-demonetization, unfortunately, we have taken half a step back, not a full step back. So about 60% of our borrowing is in the form of financial institutions, and about 40% is coming from banks, private or PSU. So overall, the scenario is that the interest rates have been going down across, but, before pre-demonetization, we had managed to about get our overall borrowing mix to about 50-50. So we have fallen about 10% behind. But that being said, the banks are opening up now that the impacts of demonetization have been, fully accounted for in most MFI's books, and people are back towards profitability. The banks are opening up, so I don't think it will be very long before we are back on track.
And so what is our average yield on the two-wheeler and the MSME portfolio? And what is our incremental cost of borrowing right now?
Average yield on our two-wheeler portfolio is between 21 and 24%. Average you can consider about 22.5%. And in the microfinance book, it's about between 24 and 24.5%, plus 1% processing fee for MSME. Oh, on the MSME, excuse me. MSME, we are doing between 28 and 30%.
Okay. And the incremental cost of borrowing?
incremental cost of borrowing, it depends. So from a financial institutions, we are getting at about 12.5 to 13% plus whatever other additional cost. From the banks, it's coming in at about 11% right now, plus whatever processing fee and other costs.
Okay. And if I heard it right in the opening remarks, it was mentioned that in calendar year 2020, you are targeting 1,000 crores of AUM.
Correct.
So how would be the mix of growth like among the three divisions?
Yeah, so right now about 2/3 of our portfolio is in microfinance and 1/3 is in micro and MSME. Going forward, I would like to keep micro at about 50% or lower. That is a wish, but definitely under 60%.
Okay. And between the other two, like MSME would be the faster growing piece? What I believe.
So my guess is that about two-wheeler and MSME will be about the same in the about 6 to 9 months as far as portfolio. And we are also working on right now expanding the MSME division to include LAP loans as well. So right now we are doing about 50,000 to 1,50,000, but these are unsecured. We can also do loans over 2 lakhs. That will be on the LAP side, loan against fee. So we'll be starting a pilot on that in about March, and hopefully we can see some more numbers coming out of our MSME branches with that.
Okay. And any new states where we are planning to enter over the next 1 year?
Not at the moment, no. Not at the moment. We are already in Uttarakhand in a small way, but that's part of our operations. We have about 2 or 3 branches in Uttarakhand, and Rajasthan we are planning to open another about 3 or 4 branches next year through our MP. But definitely we are starting to think about other states.
Okay. Thanks a lot, sir.
Sure, thanks.
Thank you. A reminder to the participants, anyone wishing to ask a question, may please press star and 1. We'll take the next question from the line of Pranav Singh, an individual investor. Please go ahead. Pranav, your line is unmuted.
Pranav, go ahead.
Hello.
As there's no response from the current participant, we'll move on to the next. That is on the line of Rajesh Gandhi from Discovery Capital. Please go ahead.
Hi. Given your large increase in executive disbursements, can you just highlight your, risk management and underwriting processes and how you think about it?
Underwriting process, you're talking about which division? Because that will be a very long answer otherwise.
Sure. Look, we are just slightly new to the company, so would be great to get just an overview on each of the divisions, how you're thinking about risk management, and how you're thinking about growth and expansion for each of the business lines.
I'll give you a very quick 100-mile-an-hour answer because that's the whole subject all by itself.
Yeah.
So we have 3 divisions. Our primary division is our MFI sector, which we are doing JLG lending. That is group borrowing, and we mostly concentrate on rural areas. About 85% of that book is in the rural areas, and they are spread across in 4 states, Gujarat, MP, UP, and Maharashtra.
Yep.
And our portfolio is, at the end of December, was about 240, 250 crores, somewhere in between that. Then we have an old book, which is in two-wheeler financing. We are a regional player in that, operating in Gujarat. Our book size is about 90 crore in that, and that is a dealer-based model where our sales associates sit in the dealerships and fund whatever customers that would want to come in and finance them. So that is mostly urban financing, and it's completely cashless. Otherwise, micro is a completely cash-based business.
Yep.
And then somewhere in between, we have an MSME, which is an extension of microfinance. So these are individual non-group loans, unsecured, but although we do take PDC. and it's a cashless disbursement, although we collect at the doorstep in cash. And that is slightly covering people who are, slightly larger than, so one step above the bottom of the pyramid. So microfinance is bottom of the pyramid, and we are covering a couple of steps above that, people with well-established business, although they are in the rural with lower paperwork. So that is, but as far as the underwriting, it is slightly a complicated process. But at a very basic level, it involves cash flow analysis, credit bureau checks, field investigations, those kinds of things.
And the individuals who are actually disbursing and approving the loans are also responsible for the actual collection, or you've got independent teams that handle actual?
So we have it's kind of a dual model. So the branch is the first step of underwriting, and then the final authority is at the head office. But yeah, basically the sales, at least in the MSME and the micro side, the guy who does the sales is responsible for the collections. In the two-wheeler, it doesn't work that way, unfortunately. Yeah. So we have a separate collections team for that.
Got it. Okay, I'll just go back in queue, or maybe I'll reach out individually to just understand.
Sir, if you have any questions, you can always email us, and we'll try to answer it to you to your satisfaction.
Okay, thanks. Okay.
Thank you. The next question is on the line of Sneha Ganantra from Shipka Ventures. Please go ahead.
Any capital raising plan?
Yeah, we are working on it right now. So we have about enough capital to take us to about the first quarter of next year. We are actively talking to a couple of people at the moment, but nothing that requires any kind of disclosure at the moment. But hopefully you should hear something soon.
Okay. My second question is the outlook on the growth side.
Outlook on the growth for next year?
Yes.
Yeah, so historically we have been comfortable growing at about 40 to 60%. So our target for next year will be about 60 to 65% growth on a consolidated basis. Mm-hmm. But some divisions might be a little faster than others. Like for example, the MSME has a pretty low asset base, so that should grow a lot faster. On the other hand, microfinance being limited by competition might be in around the 15% to 20% ballpark area. Mm-hmm. And micro we can target somewhere around 60% to 65%.
Any asset quality risk which we are seeing in the MSME and SME segment?
Sorry, can you repeat that? Any other?
Any asset quality risk are we seeing in the MSME and SME segment?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's a little early. We'll have to wait for the entire cycle, because this is sort of a newer product that we are doing that and doing it differently than a lot of other people. Fortunately, so far, we have not seen any asset quality issues, but it is a little early to tell. Overall, we have accounted for about a 3% loan loss into the pricing. So that being said, we are covered in the event it does come, but it is rather early to say until we get through entire one cycle.
Got it. And in the microfinance, how much is your collection efficiency at 90 DPD, 30 DPD and 60 DPD also?
So our overall repayment rate is about 99.7% of amounts post demonetization. Mm-hmm. Our PAR 30 plus is about 2% at the moment. NPA, which is 90 plus, is I believe about 0.87. Mm-hmm. And PAR 60, now let me just look it up. 60 plus will be about 1.35%.
Okay. And what is the medium-term outlook on your ROA and ROE you would like to maintain?
ROA, if we can target north of 4%, that would be fantastic. If we can do an ROE of 20 to 22%, consistent with, overall, I think that will be great. That being said, we always target higher than that. but about 20 to 22% ROE is something that we should be happy with, although there is no limit to that. So let's see.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Alok Shah from Centrum Broking. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity. And sir, congratulations on great set of numbers. These are really good set of numbers. I had a couple of questions, across segments. One was on the microfinance side, and I was looking at the way our presence has expanded, particularly in the last 5 quarters. So what's our strategy in the UP market? I mean, it's kind of more than doubled in last 5 quarters. Is it kind of trying to play an area where, not many people look to go into it? How are we looking at that market? One, from as on date point of view, and two is incrementally.
Yeah, so UP is, UP we were well positioned pre-demonetization. I think we entered the market in somewhere around July of 2016, and then in November is when demonetization hit. So there was a little bit of a vacuum created post-demonetization with the competition when they had reduced or stopped their disbursement. So we were in a good position to kind of gain market share a little on the quicker side. And, I know a lot of people fell into issues in UP. We didn't experience any of that. We had a good team. We were in locations that were not very deeply impacted in the first place to begin with.
Right.
And we have some 28 branches right now. Overall, I don't think we are planning to grow that market much faster than any other state at the moment. But that being said, it's, the UP market is performing quite well for us. And asset quality is also quite good. The market is behaving well. And we are well diversified because we have a good spread. So even within UP, we have 2 separate divisions. We have, in northern UP is there, and then we have a central to east UP as well, around Lucknow area. And on the northern side, we have Saharanpur and then areas in Uttarakhand, as I mentioned earlier. So our team is pretty good. We have a good team there, people who have worked in the UP market for, 15, 20 years. Other than that, yeah, the UP market has been working out quite well for us.
Sure. And would the AUM mix be more or less the same as the case in terms of branches, or what proportion of our AUM would be from UP, the MFI AUM?
So right now it's about 22%. Around, Gujarat is about 50%, and then there is 20% each in MP and UP, give or take, a few percentages,
right.
And about 10% in Maharashtra.
Sure.
I think we can push the UP to about 25%, but as I said, I don't have a plan right now to grow UP faster than any of the other states. We have given equal consideration for our projections for next year to all the states. Besides Gujarat, where we want to sort of reduce our geographical dependence, so we won't be opening too many branches in Gujarat.
Sure.
Other than that, we have given equal consideration to all 3 states. But that being said, once we start into execution, let's see how it turns out.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. On this lines, as we grow bigger in terms of a scale, and you talked about 1,000 crores as an overall AUM and maybe MFI, which is closer to 70-80%, would we kind of try and de-risk ourselves by having in place something called as state-wise loan exposures, not more than X percentage?
Unofficially, those things are already there. But you mean like on a board level or something, that state exposure is not more than a certain percentage?
Right. I mean, also from the fact that some of the rating agencies at times end up taking things, on a wronger sense, that even if you're doing great in certain markets, but because your loan exposure in certain market is high, they're not comfortable there.
I mean, geographical diversification is one of our strategies in the first place.
Right.
While we don't have a written policy on it, just to give you an idea that about a year and a half ago or slightly more than that, 80% of our portfolio was in the Gujarat market.
Correct. Yeah.
We have already made considerable headway to reduce we were a regional player trying to break out as a national player.
Sure.
So we have made considerable headway already to reduce those kinds of geographical risks. But yeah, as we grow larger, I'm sure we'll have to formalize some of these things, and I'm open to keeping a cap on state proportions.
Sure. And maybe the last question from my end. On the MSME side, you talked about our presence in 2 to 3 states, the Uttarakhand, Rajasthan. Right? Is that right? Or
MSME?
Yeah, MSME?
No. We are right now mostly in Gujarat, and we have about 2-3 branches in MP.
Sure.
So we are in only 2 states. What I said about Rajasthan and Uttarakhand was, we kind of divide up the microfinance into state-wise units. So right now we have 4 units or divisions or whatever you want to call it. That is Gujarat, MP, UP, and Maharashtra.
Okay.
Within the UP division, they have, crossed the border in a bordering area and opened 2-3 branches in Uttarakhand. And in the similar fashion, next year we are planning through our MP unit, we can open up 2-3 branches in the bordering of Rajasthan, just to test the market.
Correct.
And then if Rajasthan turns out to be well, we can expand and then break that apart into a separate unit as well.
But as one said, we should say that Rajasthan is on the horizon, and don't be surprised, sometime next year we might expand a little more in Rajasthan.
Sure. Yeah, that's encouraging. Wishing you all the very best, and thanks for all those answers.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Amit Mantri from 2.2 Capital. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi. I want to understand what is the current leverage levels at the consolidated level?
Leverage, I think we are at about, including sub-debt, about 7x, I believe. 6x excluding.
6. So this is significantly high.
Sorry?
This is significantly higher than your historical leverage levels. So does this worry you a bit?
It worries me until I raise capital, but we are working on that. So hopefully it happens sooner rather than later.
Okay.
You said that very right. It's not in the culture. You are very observant. Let me tell you that.
Yeah. And last quarter there were several one-off expenses because of the growth and the closing costs of loans that we had on our books. In this quarter, are there any one-off expenses or one-off income that we have had in our P&L?
No, I don't think that there is anything really unusual this quarter.
Okay.
Definitely not on the income side.
Okay.
There were a lot of expansion costs in the previous quarter. This quarter, we haven't really opened up a lot of branches as well. So a lot of the branch opening expenses are also sort of limited. So no, nothing really out of the ordinary.
Okay. And can you just, we have now seen that overall the MFI industry has recovered fairly, and now everyone is again back to the growth path. In fact, overall, I think MFI AUMs is now already higher than pre-demonetization level. So how are you seeing the overall competitive intensity in the MFI business, both in markets like Gujarat, which is a large part of your AUM, and other newer markets like UP that you have entered?
Competition has always existed for the last several years. And while, as I did say, there was a little bit of a vacuum when we restarted our disbursements, now things are back on track. So the competition is there, but there's enough room for everybody to operate. I think there are still a lot of areas which MFIs have not managed penetrating into. And that was a concern that was raised by RBI as well, that, about 80% of the concentration is in 20% of India's districts. So it's basically the 80-20 rule. RBI was basically trying to encourage spreading into the less penetrated districts of India. So those come with a slightly higher operating cost, less density of population, maybe a higher loan loss potential. All of those things are there. I mean, it just makes sense everybody is going after low-hanging fruits at the moment. But I think there is enough opportunity, at least for now, at least for the next 2-3 years. I don't foresee too much of an issue on that side.
Okay. And even on the MSME side, where you don't have a seasoned portfolio, but when we look at a lot of others, NBFCs, be it in the affordable housing space or others in the MSME business, they've now started to report some challenges in their book once they have become seasoned. So I'm assuming that eventually even you will have some part of those challenges at least. So what's the plan in countering and ensuring that when you're growing rapidly right now, you don't fall into the same trap as everyone else of getting into asset quality troubles in the MSME space?
Right. So yeah, in the MSME space, I did hear that people are running into NPA issues. I think a lot of those people concentrate on more of the urban side. I'm targeting more of the rural. And the thing which I'm doing that has worked so well in microfinance is that doorstep recovery. So that is a little bit expensive and it comes, the margins are expensive, but the operating cost, our margins are higher, but the operating cost is also much higher. But I think that is the sort of the secret sauce that keeps the microfinance payments coming, is that you don't lose that touch with the customer. Once you start going into that NACH or ECS or PDC model, 12 months they pay, but after that you sort of lose touch with the customer and you don't want to become a faceless corporation with them. You want to kind of maintain a touch. And I think that will make a lot of difference. But that being said, it is a new market, so I'm aware of the potential risk side, and that's why we are not growing very aggressively either. We are taking our time, assessing, making changes along the way, learning lessons, if you may. And I'll be very honest, if I saw or we saw collectively that this was a very risky area, definitely we would be planning to expand on it. I mean, I think we have gotten in and out of businesses throughout our long history, three-wheeler being an example, or even before that, personal loans and things. So whenever we think that an area is getting too risky or potentially very risky, we'll be the first to get out. So there is no problem. We have a pretty strong risk framework around that.
Exit is more important than entry.
Yeah. So exit is more important than entry. I think that's their motto, not ours, but yeah, it works for us also.
No. Okay, thank you very much. I hope you put the equity raise behind very soon.
Yeah, I hope so too.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Pranav Singh, an individual investor. Please go ahead.
Hello? Hello? Yes.
Yeah, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Oh, thank you. Congratulations on great set of numbers, sir. I wanted to ask, this quarter we have not opened many branches, but we are now close to maximum disbursement in microfinance. So are there any plans of opening new branches in FY19-20? Could you give some idea of that?
Yeah, I mean, we definitely are planning to open a few branches. So what we did last year was we opened up most of the branches in Q1 and a few in Q2. And Q3 and Q4 will be sort of lighter. But Q4 will start thinking about next year and putting up some branches in, late this month, early next month. And the whole cycle will start again. So on the micro side, maybe about 30 odd branches is what we are thinking of. But it's a little preliminary, so don't hold me to that. So, I mean, we haven't really finalized the business plan, so I don't think I can share too much with you over the phone. But as soon as we have the hard numbers, we'll share with you later on.
Sure. And sir, if you could share what is the kind of quantum of equity raise that you're looking at, if you have an idea in mind?
Honestly, I won't be able to comment on that. I don't know. I mean, it's a complicated question.
Sir, we are tied up with the statutory requirements and the other things, and there are certain things that we don't want to disclose at this juncture, which we are bound to do that. So all I can say that is we are working on it, sir.
Yeah, I mean, certainly we don't want to be raising equity every year or anything. So whatever we raise, hopefully it's sufficient for at least a couple of years.
Well, that's very nice to hear, sir. Thank you.
Sir, we are not trying to offend you or anything, but we want to stay within the limits of whatever the statutory requirements are, sir.
Oh, no, I totally understand. So thanks a lot for that information.
Thank you.
I was trying to understand the provisioning requirements. It appears that, for example, in microfinance, we have 2 crores of gross NPAs, but we have 2.5 crores of provisions for standard assets. So would I be fair in saying that we do not have any net NPAs in microfinance business?
Yeah, so how it works in microfinance is, it's controlled by RBI. So RBI says, okay, you have to take, it's a formula, so you have to take the higher of 2 things. First thing is 50% of PAR 90 and 100% of PAR 80 or 1% of standard assets. So whatever is higher is what you have to take. So in our case, the 1% of standard assets is higher than the other one. So that's what we take on our books, which is why the standard asset is higher than the provisioning on standard assets is higher than the actual NPA.
And sir, the last question on my side. I see from filings that now Param Capital has over 10% equity in the company. I was wondering if the management knows whether it's a financial investment or do they have any strategic interest in the company?
You were wondering if the company knows what?
Param Capital.
Yeah, I know.
Param Capital has, if this is only a financial investment or do they have some strategic interests in the company, or if you have any idea?
No, it's simply a financial investment. In fact, Param was already had a stake in the company previously, and they just wanted to increase their stake for financial reasons only. So we are thankful for their support overall. And I met with representatives of Param on a couple of occasions previously unrelated to this topic. And they are very nice and professional people. So I don't think that I expect anything, negative from that acquisition.
Thanks a lot and best wishes ahead.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Vikrant Yadav, an individual investor. Please go ahead.
My questions has been answered. Thank you so much.
Thank you. A reminder to the participants, anyone wishing to ask a question, may please press star and 1. Participants, if you wish to ask a question, you may please press star and 1. As there are no further questions, I now hand the conference over to Mr. Digant Haria for his closing comments.
Yeah, hi everyone. Thank you for this call, and thanks Alok and Jayendra Bhai Patel for taking this time out and answering all the queries patiently. Thanks everyone, and have a great evening.
Thanks, Digant. Thank you so much.